Visitors to the Yorkshire Dales are justifiably overwhelmed by the natural beauty of the scenery and of its lovely little villages. It truly is a wonderful part of England, but for more than 20 years, the state of one little corner in one of the most attractive, tranquil spots has caused people some puzzlement. That corner is the area known as Linton School or Linton Camp. Visitors and tourists travelling past could be forgiven in thinking that they are looking at one of Europe's bomb sites from the Second World War or a long abandoned prisoner of war camp. These remaining assortment of huts and barrack-like buildings comprise Linton School, which lies close to Grassington in the beautiful Upper Wharfdale and was last used in 1986. It was built originally by the National Camps Corporation in the late 1930s. One of 50 planned camps to be built in remote areas of countryside. The original idea was to enable children from towns and cities to be able to gain experience of the countryside and nature. The organisation was given £1.2 million by the government of the time, but it seems that of the planned 50 camps proposed, only around 31 were ever built and opened, and Linton Camp was one of them. The camps were to each accommodate around 400 children. A possible secondary use was to be as holiday camps for deprived children, and a third option was an evacuation camp for children who were considered to be at risk from air attacks in large towns, a function that they did ultimately serve, although some of the sites were claimed by the Air Force before completion. The wooden huts at all of the camps were all of similar design, being constructive of Canadian cedar wood, and the few that had survived intact had done so very well considering that they are up to 80 years old. One of the last camps, built in 1939 in the south east of England, cost £25,000 and was built on 15 acres of farmland. Linton was used as an evacuation camp at the early stages of World War II. At one early intake in 1940, some 300 children aged from 9 to 12 were bused from Bradford to what was to be their new home. After the war, the camp was purchased by Bradford Education Department, was renamed Linton Special Residential School, and more or less reverted to the school's original intended use. Maladjusted, delicate, malnourished, and children suffering from poor health were the main attributes that qualified a child to be given a place at Linton. You must remember that at the time, due to the smog emanating from the multitude of factory and woolen mill chimneys that lay thick and dense across the valley, it was virtually impossible to see across Bradford from one side of the town to the other. The air was often putrid, and the living conditions in the tiny, often squalid, back-to-back houses could be extremely unhealthy for a poor family or a single-parent family struggling to make ends meet on low incomes. Under certain circumstances, children would arrive at Linton School having been the subject of a court order. Not hardened criminals or juvenile delinquents, but more a lacking of parental controllability or an inability to attend school on a regular basis. If one could define an ideal candidate for a place at Linton School, then a child, say of 11, living in a one-up and one-down back-to-back house, suffering from bronchitis or asthma, coming from a poor background or a broken home, or who simply would not attend school regularly, with a single parent who found it difficult to cope and finally living in a children's home in the care of the local authority, then this would be an ideal candidate for a place at Linton. I know this to be true, for this is exactly what happened to my dad.
This is Peter Hartington, and I was at Linton on 2 occasions. Once round about 1958 with my brother, and on another occasion I came back round about 1960, finally leaving in 1964. What we're doing today is a school reunion. We've had a lot of people on Facebook, with a particular group on Facebook, and there's about 30 people that are ex-pupils, mainly round about from the 1980s. We're hoping we're going to get a bigger spread later on in the day. And behind me is actually Dormitory 1, which is was the senior boys' dormitory. Originally, this would have been Dormitory 3. But they did some rebuilding in the very, very late 50s and early 60s, and this became Dormitory 1. And just on my side here, through what was the window, is the actual area where I finished up sleeping as a 14-year-old. And I had a friend next to me, a chap called Colin Staples, who slept in the bed next to me. The flat at the end was where a lady called Miss Wilkes, or Elaine Wilkes, who was one of the junior teachers. She had a flat at the end there. And there were good days. We kind of, at the time, I guess we didn't really think it was. But when you look back amongst your childhood, you see things totally different. But we would wake up on a morning to this scenery, which was absolutely fantastic. And it's 45 years ago since I put my head on a pillow in a bed in that dormitory. 45 years has gone. The school's still standing, or that is to say, what's left of the school is still standing. And it's all subject to various planning applications that have been denied over the years, and the owner's hanging on, hoping that things will change. Who knows? It could be standing here for another 30 or 40 years.
My married name is Margaret Spence. This is my hubby Jim, but I was Margaret Elwood when I was here, and I came when I was 8ish, just over 8, 1949, and I stayed till I was 15 with a gap in between. I left when I was 10 because I cried on my dad's knee and didn't want to come back because my brother was told that he didn't have to come back, so I'd have had to come back all on my own, and I didn't want to, so I didn't come back, and then I became ill again and I had to come back, so then I was here till I was 15, 55, 56 I think.
I don't really know why I came here. I've tried to find out. I came here, they dropped me off, and I stayed here with Mr. and Mrs. Robson first, Deputy Ed and his wife, and this end block here, they had living quarters.
They did.
Well, we came originally because they said that we needed building up.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you used to do these charts where children were supposed to be at a certain height and a certain weight.
Yeah.
And we wasn't. We were sort of under. And they said, well, ship you off to Linton and get you built up. And then 8 years later, we were still here.
And you'd all sort of fall into that category, really.
Yeah, more or less, I think.
Which I guess at the time was classified as not maladjusted, but delicate and such as that.
Yeah.
Undernourished, didn't they?
Undernourished, but yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you probably can tell. I mean, I still am undernourished.
Are we all?
Yeah.
Well, I can always remember there was a lad that came here, and he was so thin, and he could hardly stand up. He didn't even know how to use a knife and fork. All he knew was he slept with the dogs in a box in the kitchen.
Really? Yeah.
And his parents just used to throw him food in the box, and he used to have to fight for it.
Right.
Now, I always remember that lad, but I don't even know what they called him. But
No.
it turned out a grand lad.
Yeah.
And there's children's lives being saved through this. I know a friend of mine, when I was working, I was only 16 or 17, and I used to tell her about this place, and her husband died suddenly, and one of her children really suffered, and she'd become very rebellious, and she had a lot of trouble with her. And the doctor said, you know, recommend her come to Linton camp so that Dorothy, my friend, could have some respite, and she could the girl could come away from the group that she was in. And she was only here 6 months, and it turned her life round.
Yeah.
What about you? I mean, what's your memories of this place when you were here? Are there happy memories?
Yeah, some of them, yeah.
Yeah?
You have good memories and you have bad memories, don't you?
Yeah, that's true. Did you know why you'd actually been sent here?
Yeah, because my brother was sent here. He's 2 years older than me. So my mum and dad wanted to go to the same school.
What are your most fond memories of the school?
Fondest memories? Oh, all the fact that you didn't do school. You only did school in the morning. You didn't do school in the afternoons.
Did you actually have any lessons, actual proper schooling lessons?
Oh yeah. We had schooling lessons. Yeah, we did maths, English, PE, home economics. We did all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's no different to any other school really. You know.
So what did you do in the afternoon?
You did clubs. You did drama, woodwork, cooking, pets, painting, decorating, going for walks. It was absolutely brilliant.
What was your favourite?
Drama club.
Why did you like drama?
I don't know. Maybe I felt I was a drama queen or something. I don't know. I liked drama. I liked the acting. I liked the putting on the shows and everything. Sometimes writing your own plays, and we used to produce them and acting them on the stage there in the hall, the main hall there. And yeah, it was really great. And then on the afternoons, odd afternoons, boys would go out one afternoon, girls could go out if you were old enough to go out on your own. If you weren't old enough to go on your own, then a teacher would take you out, maybe 20 of you at a time, to the stepping stones or up into Grassington.
And I think just like the trips round and about, going to Grassington and on the weekends, and just generally outdoor life here.
Sometimes Jessie would take us on day hikes over the lead mines at Grassington.
Seniors
Yeah.
who could go out of the grounds on a Saturday afternoon got a red dot. They didn't actually physically get a dot.
You could go, yes, I do remember.
We used to go to
Remember that?
Grassington on a Saturday morning
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
like the mint cake.
Oh, Kendall mint cake.
Kendall's
Yeah,
mint
we always
cake.
used to get
Yeah.
mint cake.
Because I were a head girl, and I remember being able to just go out whenever I wanted, really. I just had to tell.
The young ones had to be taken by a supervisor,
They
didn't
did.
they? And then
Yeah.
the seniors could get to
go.
wander around by themselves.
Yeah.
And Grassington, they used to call it the big city,
Yeah, it
And
was
yet-
to us then,
yeah.
wasn't it? It was, yeah.
wasn't it? I mean, even Thorpe. We used to walk to Thorpe occasionally.
Yeah.
Did anybody remember Thorpe? Did you ever go to Thorpe?
Yeah, I remember it.
Because there was a little tiny shop in Thorpe, in somebody's house in the front room. And you'd go in and they'd sell Mars bars and Kit Kats.
What about the weekend trips? Did you?
Oh yeah, we used to go walking. Didn't we used to go walking, potholing, all sorts of your sort of country life.
Out to the local village.
Yeah, out to the local village, Grassington, yeah. They just call it Red Dot.
I was going
It
to
was
ask
like a
that. Can you please explain this red dot?
It was just like it was like a privilege. If you were good during while you were here, on your weekend, then what you were here, you got a privilege where you used to get some pocket money, didn't you?
Yeah, and you were allowed to go out when you're home without teachers to go.
Yeah, you just go to Grassington or Linton and spend your money buy sweets.
Could you just explain to us who Jessie was?
Jessie, sorry, she was a teacher, a really loved teacher, and she came here, as most teachers did. Mr. Robson as well, who she later married, came right at the beginning when it was an evacuee camp during the war. And then after the war, Bradford Council took it over, and the teachers had just come for 1 year, and they stayed, and Jessie retired from here, so she stayed all the time. Her name was Miss Suttle when I was here for my time, and then she married Mr. Robson while she still was here, So a lot of the people that you're talking to remember as Mrs. Robson.
Who was the headmaster when you were here? Was it Mr. Barnard?
Mr. Barnard.
Sternwhite was the first one.
Yeah, well, I never knew Mr. Sternwhite.
Right.
Mr. Barnard came in 1960, and I came just after he'd come.
Right.
Yeah, so I never knew Sternwhite.
Yeah, I knew Barnard. Barnard gave me 6 of the best.
I bet he did.
And what are your most vivid memories of this school?
Well, I can remember when I first came up for the interview for the job, and being a city boy, it was the absolute quietness of the place that struck me straight away. I couldn't believe it. And I think a lot of the pupils have said it was the best years of their lives, and I think it is amongst some of the best working days of my life. Even though the pay was quite low, but everything was in. I lived in this flat here. There's board, food, everything was included, and the food was fantastic. There's some good cooks. It was all cooked on site. There was none of this being delivered in like school dinners today. It was all fresh produce, and I worked at bringing in delivering the food, unloading it, as well as looking after the heating systems and cleaning the windows, general handyman work.
So were you quite well occupied as a maintenance?
I wouldn't say we were overworked, no. If everything went fine, it was great. In the summer it was fantastic, especially spent time cutting the grass, making this look like Wembley, going up and down, making it the stripes, used to mark out the football pitches and the athletic track out there. There's always something to do.
So were you quite proud of the conditions you kept the place in?
We had a full-time gardener here. He looked after the gardens. There were flower beds all over the place. There was a greenhouse up at the top end where he used to obviously do whatever he did and grow things, and pot them out. And so it was quite a good. It looked good, as befitting the Dale's property, I suppose, if you like, at the time.
And you actually worked here.
I was a worker here. These all girls were. I don't actually remember any of them, but I know the numbers. I used to sew the numbers on the towels.
Because you were a seamstress.
At the end, I was a seamstress.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't know anybody by name, but you could. Do you girls remember any of your numbers?
G38.
G38.
Yeah.
G52.
Good grief.
I don't remember mine.
Excellent. I must admit, I was here, as I mentioned, I was here in the very, very early 60s, and I don't remember numbers at all.
And they didn't work for money, the teachers here. They worked because they had a vocation and they loved what they were doing.
Yeah,
and that's why us kids, even you lads here, must think, you look at this place with fondness and emotion, don't you?
I mean,
because they loved you, didn't they?
Yeah, they were all right. They weren't bad at all, but I mean, you got some good and bad.
I was going to say, did you have a favourite teacher, Jason?
Well, only on the dorm. Can't remember her name now. It was Clegg, I think it was.
Was she good looking?
No, not particularly. No. But she looked after us pretty well.
Right. And you'll have known Mr. and Mrs. Robson, I presume. Or did you? Had they retired?
They'd gone.
They'd gone, had they?
Yeah. They'd gone. I remember Mr. and Mrs. Linney.
Right.
Mr. Little.
What about the headmaster? Who were the headmaster in your period?
Mr. Pickering.
Pickering.
Yeah.
Right.
Barnard were mine.
Barnard, yes. Well, he was here when I was here, of course.
He was a Skipton.
He was.
Yeah, so was Mr. Pickering. Yeah, just a little. Yeah.
Mr. Robson got deputy head, and he was a more softer man. He used to walk around here in like shooting stick.
+4s.
And +4s, like a
and a deer stalker.
Yeah, deer stalkers.
And a piece of cheese in his top pocket. and that's how he got Cheesy. That's why everybody called him Cheesy. Yeah, that goes back a bit. Go back to the 40s, as that.
My favourite teachers were Mr. Newman. He was a big striking bloke, 6'6".
Yeah.
Giant of a man, fantastic teacher. And Jess Robson.
Yeah.
She taught everybody to swim.
I'd heard, yeah. What about teachers? Has anybody got any favourite teacher? Have you got any good memories of teachers?
I like Sadie Peel.
I like Sadie Peel.
Sadie Peel. What did Sadie Peel do then?
She was a teacher.
She was a dorm mistress.
Right.
Yeah, and she was lovely. I really, really liked her. She used to live on the end.
On the end of Dorm 6 here?
Yeah, Dorm 4.
Dorm 4, that's right.
Yeah.
I say Dorm 6 because when I was first here, there was Dorm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right.
And the classroom blocks, what became the classroom blocks at the bottom, they turned them into classrooms.
Right.
So we finished up with just 4 dormitories.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many. I mean, it sounds like there were a lot of people there at that time, but I can't remember how many there were exactly.
I think the most that was here when I first started was 103 children.
Right.
And then it started dwindled down a little bit after that.
Yeah.
Can you remember the teachers? What were the teachers like?
Oh, brilliant. They were like family. You couldn't have wished for a better group. You see, when I came to this school, I remember, because I'd never been away from home, and on the first night here, I had to get settled down, and they never once faltered to, help you out and make you feel welcome. That's how you felt. It was just one of those things that you could wake up in the morning and you just felt great.
Who was your favourite teacher?
Probably Miss Coxall.
And why was that?
Because she took me under her wing. So, yeah. And plus you were good looking, so that's a bonus.
Excellent.
Mr. Barnard's godfather.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Barnard.
Is he?
Yeah.
All right.
I got christened at the church in Linton.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they retired over to
they're my
Whitby.
godparents.
Yeah.
Retired over to Whitby and they both died.
I'd heard that Norman Barnard was something to do with the Lighthouse Association over in Whitby.
In Whitby.
No, nobody's heard that. No, that's probably a bit of gossip then. But it's actually your godfather.
He is, yeah.
Brilliant.
I got confirmed with, and his son, like you have partners as you're going down, his son was my partner.
Right.
As we were going down, because he got confirmed at the same time.
All right, excellent. Yeah. We used to go down to the church down at Linton every third Sunday or every fourth Sunday.
We used to go every Sunday.
Every Sunday?
Every Sunday.
How they changed it then, yeah.
On your own down Snake Path.
All right, we used to go organised walks.
We decided on our morning red dot we would run away, and we'd get the bus at Skipton, and we'd saved our pocket money, so we were on our way walking to Skipton, and it was pouring down with rain, and every car that came past we were jumped over the wall or the hedge or something thinking it was a teacher. And we got all the way to Skipton, right down towards the main high street. We were just walking up by the church there where the castle is, and this car pulled up at the side of us, and it was Mr. Robson and Miss Suttle, and she got out and she said, "Get in this car," and 7 of us plus Mr. Robson, who was a big man like Jim and Jessie, all of us in this car. It felt like a mini. She tells me it was quite a biggish car, but we were all in this car, and we were brought back here. And lunch had just finished, and she sat us down all at separate tables, and she said, "Now you've got to the count of 10 to eat that." And it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you. You can't have that. Then it was your pudding, and it was the same thing. Then we were frog marched into the. I mean, she loved us. She had to do it because she was the teacher, and so we were frog marched into the dormitories, and we had to spend a week. Couldn't talk to anybody, couldn't talk to each other, and we were put in the classrooms. Everybody else was playing out because it was holiday time, and we had to write out 1,000 lines. I must be more reasonable if I am to expect reasonable treatment from older people. So I said this at a funeral, how can you love somebody who gives you 6 of the best and makes you write out 1,000 times this long sentence, but you knew she loved you.
When he was a scruff at neck, because he were a big fellow, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a big chap. He was a big chap. Yeah. 6 of the best when I ran away.
Yeah, no, we got canes and we ran away.
Right. Oh, you ran away?
Yeah.
I never knew any girls running away when I was.
I used to go down to Linton and then come back again.
Yeah.
Really?
We'd gone out on the coldest night of the year, and we'd gone over the walls there, and we thought we were getting home, but we ended up going round in a circle and ending up in Threshfield.
Yeah.
And I think one of us rung the police or something like that to say where we were and that we were lost. And then Mr. Barnard came down for us, said, "Right, start walking." Said, "Start walking first in cold weather."
Really?
He used to drive behind you.
Yeah. And then he said, "Get in the car now."
Yeah, he used to drive behind
you
in
the morning. You're going to get cane in the morning, isn't it?
And did he actually cane you?
Oh, yeah.
What, on the hand?
Yeah.
I can't remember ever having cane. I remember
cane,
and nobody was sent here for punishment, was there?
No. I don't believe so, no.
No. Although having said that, I mean, did anybody run away from your time?
Yeah, there were a few actually run away. Yeah.
Right.
I can't remember
couple of escapees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like
Not in
great
my
escapes sometimes. Yeah, we're a bit great.
Few and far
escapish.
between.
Yeah, I can't understand. I mean, I did. Me and my mate ran away, and to be honest, when I look back now, I think, why the hell did we do that? Because it didn't make sense, did it?
No, it didn't.
Listen,
Never really got very far anyway, did you?
no. Well, you say that. We were out 3 days because we
Killed yourselves.
No, we walked to. We set off about 1 o'clock in the morning. We walked to Ilkley, caught the 6 o'clock bus from Ilkley to Bradford, camped out in Bradford for 3, and then gave ourselves up.
I think you did it.
Yeah.
But you did it sometimes because everybody else did, and it was just one of them things to do. You know, your mates used to say to you, "Have you run away yet?" And you said,
I dare you.
"No,
Like
not
a dare, wouldn't
yet."
you?
Peer pressure.
See how far you could get.
Yeah.
I got as far as end at dorm, then you all were going.
A friend of mine what was supposed to come today, but she hadn't come. She used to run away every single day.
Really?
she never stayed put. As soon as I let go of her, she were off over
She were
the wall
off.
again.
Thing is, though, now when you
true.
talk to her about it, she's like, "Oh, I loved every minute of it. I loved it," you know. And you think, "You know, I used to run away every day."
I have to say that, I mean, my time here, I remember it as fun times, but sometimes I think we look at these things with rose-tinted glasses. I mean, there were times here when I was extremely unhappy.
Oh yeah, you have your time.
And I think we're all the same, weren't we?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
No.
I think as you're getting older and you're sort of going through puberty and you have all those sort of emotions going on about wanting to be at home and things like that, then you do. But it soon passes.
Yeah. Can we edit that word out, puberty? Are you allowed to say that on camera?
Well, it's growing up, isn't
Well, we all did it, didn't we?
We do, yeah. I'm still doing it, actually, but that's another story.
It was disciplined, but it had to be. And I've had 6 of the best, you know, I've had the cane. But they say now, oh, you shouldn't cane anybody and you shouldn't do this, but it didn't hurt any. Look at us, we're all laughing, we're all talking, we've all got really good memories of it all.
Yes.
It was done because it kept you, you know, there was no troubles.
Yeah. Does anybody, you guys, remember the bell ringing?
Yes, I used to do that.
I remember
bell
doing that,
ringing.
yeah.
You did that, did you?
Yeah, I did that.
So many bells for,
Yeah.
so many bells for getting up, so many bells.
Yeah, you had to learn it.
Yeah.
Do you know how many bells it was for an emergency? Because
Was it continuous?
I think it was continuous.
7 sevens.
Yeah.
You'd
Yeah,
ring
yeah,
it 7
yeah.
times and then do that 7 times.
Yeah.
That's the only bit I remember. Because they used to have every so often they'd ring it an emergency.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, you used to have to go down and wait, and then you used to do it and get everybody out of class.
What responsibilities did you have in that position as the head girl?
Well, you had to get people up in the morning. You had to ring the bell at the end of the dormitory.
Who got you up?
That is a really good question. When it was my week, everybody was late. And I've just been telling the people at that group there that Miss Robson, Miss Suttle, Jessie, she said, "I'll help you, Margaret." She said, "I'll wake you up," you know. So she did, and I just have this. We laughed right up to her dying. We laughed about it because she was shaking me, and when I opened my eyes, this lovely angel was there, and she had long blonde flowing hair in this white candlewick dressing gown, and she was saying, I said, "Oh, thank you, miss, I'm coming, miss." And she floated back to her room, you see, and I went back to sleep. And something, I don't know what made me jump awake, and I'm throwing my clothes on, and as I'm running down the dormitory, and I got to our veranda at Dorm 6, and she was stood on Dorm 4's veranda where the bell was, and she was going, "I'll kill her," you know, bang, bang, and I ran up to her and said, I'm sorry, miss. So we had to get people up. We had to do washroom duty because you didn't have your own tube of toothpaste. First, when I first came, they used to make it out of a powder, a little bit like Youth Thymal toothpaste tastes now. And then later on, they'd have a tube of toothpaste. And so we had to queue up with our toothbrush, and the person at the front would put the toothpaste on. And then we'd go and, you know, brush our teeth and wash our... And so you had to do the toilets out and squeegee it all out. And you got points for it, and privileges for those points. take the children out, supervise meals and things like that. And we had prefects under you, and they took duties and things. And you got, as I say, you got points every week. And if you had above a certain amount of points at the end of the month, which you could lose those points as well, you could go to Skipton on the bus to the pictures.
How did it compare with where you lived?
It's a lot different. A lot different, yeah. It's come off a council estate, so you know, being out here, and I were youngest of 10 kids, and I had like four brothers and 5 sisters, and I don't know what it was, but being out here, all my family smoke, you see, and I'm probably the only one. I'm the only one that doesn't smoke. So being out here was, you know, made a big difference for me being out here.
Fantastic.
Being at home, so yeah. Missed my brothers and sisters, but you know, I got spoilt when I went home, so that was brilliant.
When you stayed here, were you very aware of the lovely countryside that is around here?
Yeah.
And how did it compare with your home?
Well, fresh air, wasn't there? Plenty of fresh air, no smoke out to contend with.
I think back in our day, I think it's and I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but it was how you brought up, you know. It's like, I don't mean to sound disrespectful to my mum, but she was an alcoholic, so it was good for me to get away, you know, get away and come out here. And when we used to go home, I didn't want to go home, because I used to play rugby out here and for the local team up at Wharfdale, you know, and I just love staying out here.
Were either of you involved in any of the clubs here?
Yeah.
Which particular one?
To be honest with you, I can't remember, but I know we did do them on the evenings and what have you.
Yeah.
How long were you here for?
I was here for 2 years, 83 to 85, and I loved it.
And again, you loved it.
Yeah,
what
great.
particular things about it did you enjoy?
Well, it probably sounds a bit nasty, but probably being away from home, because at home you get the normal things with families where you're picking on. I was the youngest of 5, so I was getting picked on, and not nastily, but just here, different world. It's fantastic.
And it gave you a comradeship and a respect for other people, because even at, you know, that young age, you had a locker, and it was your locker. That's all you had, but it was your locker, and nobody would go in your locker, and you wouldn't go in anybody else's locker. You wouldn't invade their space, you know. And you had to do it at hospital corners when you made your bed. And Mr. Robson, he had a saying, if he saw you playing with marbles or reading a book when you shouldn't or something like this, he'd say, if I see it, I'll want it, and if I want it, you've had it. And he did. I'll have that for my orphanage. And when I left, in fact when I was a woman, and I was at their house talking, and I think George had died then, and I said to Jessie, did he really have an orphanage? She said, no. He had all these marbles in his room, you know. I never got them back.
What was your favourite time of the week?
When we used to stay here at weekends, because we used to go home every fortnight for the weekend, and it changed after a few years. We used to go home every weekend, but I think stopping here at the weekend were the best, because we used to play football a lot. That's what I used to do a lot more. So
on a Saturday morning, you had dorm inspection. And there was a competition, and it was only a picture, but it was hung up in the winning dorm for the week. And the headmaster, or the deputy head, which was Mr. Robson, was the deputy head, and Mr. Stonewhite was the head. And the head girl and the head boy would accompany with a book and pen. And you had to shine your shoes, make your bed, do your hospital corners, get it all lovely, your locker had to be neat, everything folded up there, nothing showing, no wrapping papers, no dust anywhere, and your shoes at the end of your bed. And then they'd come round, it would start, and they'd come down and they'd look everywhere and start off with 30 points. And if you saw a bit of dust or something, you'd knock a point off and things like that. And the winning dorm got the picture. And we used to, oh, Mr. Robson's doing it today. And he always wanted the boys to win, you see. So he'd go on the top of the cupboard with his finger like this, you see, and say, oh no. And I'd be head girl and I'd be saying, oh no, you know, don't do this to us. But it was lovely and you could do that.
What particular years were you here?
I was here between 1980 and 1986 when it closed.
Do you have fond memories?
Absolutely. There's not one bad memory now, even stood here looking at it as it is. I mean, I can understand it that it's in disrepair, but I can see straight through it and see the days when I was here. You know, all the shingles on the roofs that are falling off, and that's meaningless. I still see me as running around as a little kid and just enjoying the days like over here.
How appreciative were you of the surroundings that you were in?
Unbelievable. I go out nowadays and I'm stopping the car because I'm enjoying the views, and my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, when I was in school it was like just countryside, so I just love sceneries. It's just absolutely beautiful."
Do you remember rest periods?
Yeah. You having to come and have a lie down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was every afternoon,
It
wasn't
was
it?
an afternoon, yeah. I don't think they did that for long though. They stopped it, didn't they, after a while?
Yeah.
I think as you got older,
Yeah.
You didn't have to do it. You know, I think it were the younger ones that
Right.
that mostly did it.
Right, I think when I was here, everybody had to
Yeah.
line
I
the
remember
bed
doing
for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Was
They
it
had
just
the
after
younger
lunch?
boys and
Draw the
girls, didn't they?
curtains.
They had the younger boys and girls, a mix down there, wasn't it, the next one down?
Not for long. Yeah,
Yes.
They had half girls and half boys, didn't they? But
they
there
did.
were only young ones
All
on there.
little
Right.
ones. Yeah.
I was more of a sports person. I just enjoyed all the footballing, and they did a lot of footballing here, so it was quite good.
Were you a member of the football club?
I was the captain, and I at 14, the PE teacher, Mr. MacDonald, he used to play for Grassington Football Club, and he actually got me on the team at 14. I used to play for Grassington as well, so yeah, it was pretty good.
So, fairly good times for you then?
I really enjoyed it here. You know, it was a few difficult times, but you know, it was quite good. Really enjoyed it. We had a big snooker table, which I enjoyed doing as well. So
I used to go up in that barn field and that, and have a great time.
Yeah.
Have a great
Down that, we used to go down.
And I stopped here once with Mr. and Mrs. Robson, as you say. I was the only kid here that broke up, and they wouldn't let me go home because it was my first term.
Right.
So I stopped with the Robsons, and the Air Wharfdale rescue teams used to come here in the summer. Yeah, I got pally with them.
Because one of the teachers when I was here was actually in the Cave Rescue Association.
Yeah.
And they had at the time they took the old signal box because the railway station had closed.
Yeah.
They took the signal box and put it on the forecourt and used that as headquarters. And Donald Robinson, who was the woodwork teacher at the time, he was a member there. We used to go over and clean boots for them.
Yeah.
Like idiots, you know. But there you go. The teacher says that's what you had to do, isn't it?
They were supposed to be based here in '67 when the school were closed for holiday.
Right.
Because I remember specifically the lamps and the headgear, the jeeps, you know.
Sports was mainly cross-country runs. The hill behind you was basically called Hell Bolton. We used to run around there, around Burnshill, then back from Burnshill through Linton, and then here, which I think the overall was about 3.5 mile full distance. So yeah, they were the days when running was a good thing.
Do you remember any particular trips that?
Yes, we used to go camping at a place called Arncliffe, which is not actually that far, about 20-minute drive. And I think there was one time when we couldn't get the tents up because it was rather windy, and I think there were about 8 or 9 of us all stopped in one tent, and I don't think the rest of the tents got put up. The whole rest of the camping time, I think we all just stayed in one tent and thought, oh well, we'll leave that. We'll just all bedded down in one tent. So there were just nights like that we all remember that were really good.
Yes. So again, good memories of the place.
Yeah, all good memories. I didn't have a bad memory here.
That's good. And you felt you've benefited from it?
Definitely, yeah. Like Stephen said, just to go on what Stephen said, being out here, countryside, daylight, built up area away from council estate, and it's just like totally different world. Absolutely fantastic.
Do you remember having cold showers, girls?
Yes, many a time. Yeah.
Well, and more that obligatory when you were here? Every night a cold shower?
No, I think it was just when there was no water left. I think you just had a cold shower because that's all there was left.
Right.
We had to do it. It's just the way it was. Wasn't it?
Yeah, you just used to run in and run back out again.
Right.
Because it was an open shower.
Yeah.
Open
got
shower.
in first.
Whoever got in first, you got the hot water.
The building behind us, which is in a very dilapidated state, can you remember what it was used for at the time you were here?
That was used for the hall. It was what we used for assemblies, school discos on a night, which was Saturdays and Sundays. It was also used for the Christmas dances that the prefects and older children that would have. Mainly it served a lot of purposes, and it was mainly to get everybody together. If it was raining or anything like that, we'd just use it as somewhere as a bit of salvation to keep away from the wet.
Do you know, I mean, obviously you know where you're sat at the moment.
Yeah.
This is obviously the assembly hall, and you've got the headmaster's office.
Yeah.
Can you tell me something about this building? I'll start with you for me.
That used to be you just had a tuck shot, didn't it? You just get caned here as well.
You got caned here?
Now and again, yeah.
Right.
If you're a bad lad like you.
What about films? Because they used to show films here, didn't they?
TV room.
Right.
We never had a TV room.
This guy didn't.
Never had a TV room. We used to do Friday films, didn't we? And it used to be like Elvis in Las Vegas.
They did.
So and so rides again.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were Friday night were film night.
Right.
We went thingy. And here was a stage, weren't they, as well?
There was a stage in there, yeah. Who did the projecting on the film
I don't know,
night?
it just used to come out at the back of the Barnard's office here.
Right, you never knew?
Never knew who did the singing. No.
Did you guys remember anybody doing that?
We had a TV room by then.
We never had a telly, us.
Right.
Never had a telly for years, honest to God.
Well, I have to say, when I was here, there wasn't a TV room as such.
No.
It was over in the classroom block where the four classrooms was.
Yeah.
And the TV were in there.
Philip, we stood in front of the assembly hall. Can you tell us your memories of the assembly hall and what it was like?
I just remember like the polished floor. We used to have benches outside. Remember, we used to have benches outside, didn't we? We used to sing in there, and like this be a piano in the corner. You know, Miss Robinson.
Yeah, Miss Robson.
Miss Robson, and her husband with a deputy head, Mr. Robson. Cheesy.
I remember this. I remember this building particularly because in winter when it was like this and it was really, really deep and bad, we used to have the sledges under here.
That's when the gym burned down, isn't
yes.
it?
Yeah. And our workroom then.
Right.
Our seamstress workroom. So we had to finish up on dorm 2. We had to have a sewing room on dorm 2.
Temporary room on there. Right. Okay.
Yeah. For the caterers, for the people who worked in the kitchens, domestic staff. When I say domestic staff, I don't really mean the ones that were caring for the kids on a daily basis. These were ones that went home and then came back, and they'd share the building as well.
We stood outside a building which I'm sure you girls will know.
Yeah.
Because
this was the girls' building, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was the senior.
This was the elite.
yes.
It was the elite one.
Why do you say that, Anne?
Because it was the only one that had the girls.
Oh, right.
All the others were boys.
Really?
Yeah.
Although some boys have slept in here on occasions.
Have they?
So we've been told.
Yeah.
He's one of them up there.
Is it?
Two of them up there.
All right.
They must have crept in.
So the boys used to intermingle, did they, after lights out?
I'm not saying anymore.
Climb on the beds.
Yeah.
Boys will be boys.
You know, it was tin mugs when I was here, and you couldn't drink the tea because the mug was too hot to put it to your lips, so it had to go cold before you could drink it. And tin plates and sleeping bags and double beds, you know, and but later on, you know, they changed it round to single beds. There was fewer children and hot cups and things like that.
Going back to grub, it's one of my favourite subjects.
I loved it.
I mean, you can't tell, but it was good, wasn't it?
Really fabulous. Especially the eggy bread.
Eggy bread.
Porridge. Oh, the porridge it was.
It was worse though. If we'd been out cleaning some of this when I first started here, we used to come, you know, and then we used to have to go in for washing up, and we'd walk through the dining room, pick all the things up. And if it had boiled eggs, the smell when you open that door, you can imagine about 100 of them having boiled eggs all taken to. Oh, the smell was terrible.
Yeah, I can imagine the day after as well when they'd all.
I liked the food that much. They actually put me on a diet. I came to get built up, and
Right.
they put me on a diet.
And you finish. Oh, good grief.
Because I got too fat.
It wasn't that bad actually. French toast was gorgeous.
Oh, everybody goes for that, don't they?
That was
Eggy
had
bread.
a bit of strandy stuff on it, didn't it?
With marmalade,
Like burnt
you can't
stuff on
beat
it.
it.
Have you tried to replicate that?
I have quite a few times.
You can't do it.
Can't do it. It's impossible.
Failed miserably.
I just out of interest, about 2 years ago, I asked Jess Robson, I says, come on Jess, how did they make this eggy bread? And she says, well, it would just soak bread, a bit of corn flour, and throw it in the frying pan. And it never worked.
Never put corn flour in it.
No, she suggested corn flour. Whether it was corn flour made the stringy bits or not, I don't know. Who remembers washing up liquid soup? That must have gone then before you guys came.
I remember my breakfast used to look like that. So
Did it?
used to have a table head, and she was very big on making sure she had the most of everything.
Right.
So I used to get a bowl of milk with some breakfast cereal sprinkled on top. That was my soup for the day.
That was it. Brilliant.
I was at a table head as it happens, and somebody just pulled me. He says, I remember you. She said, I was at your table. I said, I used to hog the custard. Because you used to get the custard in a jug and serve it to the people on the table. It was very civilised, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So that in your day then, that was called a table head, because we call it a table monitor.
And what do you remember about the children?
Well, it was. I remember them arriving when they used to get off the coaches, and sometimes they were in a sad state. They were obviously malnourished and they'd been ill-treated and not very happy. But after a few days, I said the food was really good. It was probably the best food they'd had for a long time. And I remember them being quite happy. And like most kids, they used to take the mickey. Whenever I were around cleaning the windows, they'd be pulling faces at the windows and all sorts. But I used to get my revenge when I played football. You know, we did have a staff pupils football match when I was still fit. You know, that's what I blame the food on here, putting all this weight on. Never lost it since. But I used to play football at the time because I was amongst the youngest of the staff. The domestic staff. Unfortunately, most of the male ones, the boilermen and the gardener, are deceased, so I'm told, and so I'm one of the last survivors.
Roy, can you tell me what you've done to instigate this reunion today?
Well, it all started on the Facebook, and I just wanted to know if I could find old school members and how everybody had changed, really. So I started the group up basically to find as many people from Linton that attended Linton in any year, any particular year, way back from 1940 right up until the present day when it closed. It started off, I found a couple of people, then I found a few more people. A lot of people had changed the names, so they were quite hard to find, but most of the majority of the people I did find, they helped to find other people as well, so it was like the old chain reaction. It just kept going on and on and on, and now we've got 64 members of the old team that are on the Facebook.
But yes, I remember when Roy advertised on Facebook, and I remembered him straight away. There's certain ones that stand out. They were good kids, you know. It's a pity about the backgrounds. I think it was the parents and the families that couldn't cope.
And just thank you, Peter, because you've done some tremendous work for Linton Camp, and I've seen your videos.
Well, I think a lot of people have, haven't they? I mean, Roy, I think it's great that Roy was one of the guys that started it up on Facebook.
Yeah.
I know there were one or two other guys that were involved as well.
Can any of you remember the Christmas parties?
Oh, I used to love them.
Brilliant.
The police band from Bradford used to come and play for them.
We used to make our own dresses.
I was just going to say, we used to make our own dresses.
We did. We used to just go into Skipton and get all the material, all the older girls, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then get a load of patterns, and we used to go through them all and choose which one you wanted, and then we used to make them, didn't we? First, about 6 weeks before one set.
Started making them.
So you could wear it on the night.
Brilliant.
It was lovely food, wasn't it?
It was beautiful, yeah. And they used to put that canopy across.
Yeah.
Remember it like a tunnel thing?
Yeah,
wasn't it?
tunnel,
We
and they used to put lights and things inside it. It was lovely.
We used to call it the Love Tunnel.
Love tunnel.
This where this in the main assembly hall.
It was between the
hall and the
dining room.
Oh, right, so an exterior thing, right?
Yeah, it's to build a tunnel there.
So you could walk in between the two without getting wet. Yeah.
It never stayed up.
And you used to have a teacher. The older girls used to have a teacher as an escort. So you'd sort of like be linking as you're walking through, wouldn't you?
All right.
Yeah, you feel like grown up, even though you weren't.
That was a bit more elaborate than when I was here, I must say.
Were you here through winter?
Yes, yeah.
And Well, I can ask both of you really. What sort of things did you get up to during winter in the bad weather?
Well, we also go to Barnfield sledging.
There's a field up there. We used to have sledges under here. Remember the old sledges?
Yeah.
We used to have old sledges under there, and when it's snow, we used to go into the field. I remember making big, like, igloos down here. Massive igloos, because the snow, you used to get big snow drifts against the walls. Like 6 foot snow drifts. You know, it's just happy days. You used to have some like good fun.
The place closed virtually at Christmas. But you'd have the run up to Christmas.
Yeah, well, this was before they went home.
Right,
The party.
right.
Mm.
But
it was usually roughly about the week before we went, wasn't it?
Yeah. But we used to go actually. Yeah, there wasn't long between us going and Christmas. I think there were only a few days, weren't there?
Yeah.
Because I remember getting home and the tree and everything being up and presents and things. So it wasn't long before.
How did you travel home? Was it West Yorkshire bus? Or?
We used to get a bus, coach, yeah. But if you
single decker, wasn't it?
It was a single decker. But if you had to go home in between, like if there was some reason you had to go home, you could make your own way back.
Yeah.
And we used to just get the bus into
Service
Skipton
bus,
and then
yeah.
go in cafe and play at jukebox and then come over and
What
get
about
over.
visiting days? Did your parents used to come and visit?
Was that every third? Was that every third Sunday?
I think it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Third week,
and used to
wasn't
get what do they call those things? You used to get money. No, you used to get money sent, didn't you? What the
Postal orders.
postal orders.
Right.
Postal orders.
Postal orders in post. Yeah.
I was going to suggest Red Cross parcels because I've been watching Colditch.
It's not that far.
They used to have a tuck
Not that
shop,
long
didn't
ago.
they? Tuck
Tuck
shop.
shop, yeah, I used to work at
Tuck
tuck
shop.
shop as well.
How did you cope in the winters?
Well, it was fantastic. I'd never seen winters like it, and I've got photographs which I can show you later. There was an old petrol-driven, hand-driven snowplough that I used to keep this road here clear, right up to the entrance there. And it used to drift. I've never seen drifts like it before or since. And I remember one particular winter, I was due to go home back to Leeds. New Year's Eve of all times, these things happen. And I was just about to go, and the fire alarms and everything went off, and there was a pipe burst at the top dorm over there, and I went in, and there was water splashing out everywhere. And it was similar to this, so obviously I had to stay, turn the water off, wait for the plumbers, and it would have been an absolute nightmare, of course. It all frozen, so there was no heating, but I had to stay. So winters could be quite rough, but they're compensated by the summers. The summers made up for it.
I'm gutted really. I'm as gutted as the buildings because I've been back a few times and the caretakers let me in, and I walked around and things. And I think they should have used it. I think they still should use it. And what about people who've never been, can't have holidays? What about carers that need respite from caring? They could have they could have it for use for the community.
Yes.
I'm not saying they should build houses here. I think they should keep it as it is.
Yes.
They should make the dormitories habitable. Do whatever you've got to do for your health and safety.
Do you see any idea of what they're actually going to be doing with the place yet?
There's a set of plans. The last set of plans was passed in 2008, and that was a total rebuild of the school, but based on the same footprint.
Yeah.
And that was passed with C2 use, which means it would have to have been kept as a school or religious use. So in other words, the local planning authority, the Craven planners, they won't let them pull it down and build houses on it.
Very good.
But that is the hope, that the current owners.
It'd be a great adventure thing for troubled kids or something like that.
It would. It would.
Spend time here like we had the opportunity.
Yeah.
I think it's about time something were done with it, we restore them.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you like to be done to the buildings as they are now, the school?
Well, think about it in Bradford now, right? There's kids, isn't there, and they're on the streets and they're carrying on, and if they came out someone like this, it'd be ideal for them. Just get away from everyday life, city life, get out here. Brilliant. It's.
So you think there's a place for the national school
If I
even today?
if I would look to it, I'd buy this and I'd turn it into something where I'd turn it like where kids could come and just enjoy this.
How do you feel about the conditions of the place now?
Well, it is a sorry state. It's a shame that it's been allowed to get in this condition. One of the reasons I'm here is because I came back up to Grassington last summer, first time for about 20 years, and I just came over. Couldn't get in because it was blocked off, but I was saddened by the state of it, and I wrote to the Craven Herald and asked what was going on, if anything was going to be done with it, and asked if anybody knew me to get in touch, and Roy was one of them that did, and plus another couple of members of staff. But it's sad to see it like this. I think Bradford Council could have done something with it.
What would you like to see it?
Well, I'm glad you've asked me that, because when I left here, I ended up, to cut a long story short, I ended up working with the homeless and vulnerable people in Bradford.
Right.
With alcohol, drug, mental health problems, and I think as well as children being able to use it, I think somebody's mentioned it could be an outward bound centre or something like that, and I think it could still have that purpose for children, but for adults as well. People in Bradford didn't appreciate what they had at that time, and I think for them to get out of the city and get up here would do them the world of good. It's a different, totally different environment. I realise that under the current economic climate that's not likely to happen, and I think the local people might have something to say about that as well, but it's a shame really. I think it's an opportunity to get more people to appreciate the Dales and this area.
Changed me to a better person, I think. I've got more respect for people, and I've got more self-discipline and things. Just changed me to a nice person, I think.
Yeah. Coming out and it just changes your life around. I mean, the memories we've all got, it's just fantastic.
It's fond memories. Best years of my life, like I say.
I enjoyed myself here. Only here for 2 years, but I really enjoyed it.
And I thoroughly enjoyed my time here, and I believe my time spent here was well worthwhile, and it made me a decent, hard-working person.
There's all sorts of memories that you could stir up in me, that I could tell you about.
Good old days. Yeah, brilliant. Best years of my life.
Fresh air, it was outdoors, it was brilliant, really good.
So overall, I mean, your time here, you look back with fond memories, I guess.
Definitely.
It's happy times.
Yeah, good times here, really good fun times.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning, you just felt great.
My times here were fantastic.
It's unique.
Brilliant.